J-Dub is back at it here to give everyone my very first Game of Thrones Season 6 episode review video. Before I get into that, though, pretty important, if you're not caught up to the point where I am in rewatching or watching Game of Thrones or you're just not entirely sure, then you definitely need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode's title, which, of course, I'll mention as well as put in the description for you. If that has to be the case and you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this video any further, just to stay away from any potential spoilers. This will be Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 1. Title of this episode is called The Red Woman. This will be my review, reaction, recap after just finishing watching the episode. So, after the murder of Jon Snow, his direwolf, Ghost, of course, begins to howl, attracting the attention of Davos, Ed, and a few other loyalists for Jon Snow, who take Jon's body into a storeroom. Now, Melisandre briefly visits and is troubled, as she had experienced a vision of Jon fighting at Winterfell. The Loyalists locked themselves in the room from the people that essentially were behind Jon Snow dying, the people of the Night's Watch, while Ed sneaks out of Castle Black to get assistance from the Wildlings. Ramsay Bolton mourns the death of Miranda, but commands that her corpse be fed to his hounds. Roose Bolton warns him that despite their victory over Stannis Baratheon, they could face retribution from the Lannisters for Ramsay's marriage to Sansa Stark, and therefore must retrieve her to ensure that the support of the North. They need the support of the North. That's the big thing. And then Roose Bolton implies that it will disinherit Ramsay if he is unsuccessful, and if Roose Bolton's unborn child is a son. Sansa and Theon Greyjoy are pursued and confronted by a squad of Bolton soldiers as they flee through the Wolf's Wood, but Brienne of Tarth and Podrick Payne arrive and kill all the soldiers. And then Brienne pledges again to Sansa her loyalty, and Sansa accepts, which was actually a touchy moment that I didn't expect it was going to be that touching rewatching it, but it was this time. Doran Martell receives news of Myrcella Baratheon's death and is saddened, but he and Areo Hoth are immediately murdered by Ellaria Sand and Thene Sand, while the palace guards look on passively. Ellaria states that the Dornish have become dissatisfied with Doran's inaction against the Lannisters. As Doran dies, he pleads for his son Trystane's life, but Ellaria vows that weak men will never rule Dorne again. Jaime Lannister arrives in King's Landing, burying Myrcella's body, and returns to Cersei. Cersei recounts the prophecy that all her children would die before her. Jaime promises that they will have revenge against all who have wronged them. Marjorie Tyrell, who is still held captive by the Faith Militant, converses with the High Sparrow, but he refuses to give her information about her brother Loras. And then Scepter Onella comes in and says, confess. Actually, I think that happened first, I believe. Either which way. And then Obara and Nymeria Sand infiltrate Trystane's ship and declare their intent to kill him. Now, when Trystane attempts to defend himself from Nymeria, he is stabbed through the back of the head by Obara. Tyrion and Varys walk through the streets of Meereen, now deserted due to Daenerys' absence and fear of the Sons of Harpy. Varys promises that his spies will find the leader of the Sons of Harpy. The two discover that all the ships in Meereen Harbor have been set ablaze, and Tyrion realizes that Daenerys' forces will be unable to sail to Westeros. And then Dario Naharis and Jorah Mormont continue to seek Daenerys. Jorah takes a moment to observe his worsening grayscale. They discover her ring in the middle of the thousand of the hoof prints, and then they figure out that she must have been taken by the Dothraki. And then Daenerys is presented to Khal Moro, who has taken her prisoner. Daenerys explains that she was Khal Drogo's wife and asks Moro to escort her back to Meereen, but he refuses. As a widow of Khal's, she must live out her life in Vaes Dothrak, the Dothraki scared island. or Sacred Island, I should say, not Scared Island. Arya Stark, who is now blinded, is set to beg on the streets, and the waif appears and forces Arya to duel using a wooden staff. Arya fails, and the waif promises that she will return the following day. Sir Alistair Thorne convinces the Night's Watch and takes responsibility, or actually I should say he talks to the Night's Watch and takes responsibility for Jon's assassination, defending himself and his co-conspirators against the accusations of treason by claiming that Jon's actions would have allowed the Wildlings to destroy the Night's Watch. Thorne and others then surround the storm room like I had talked about, and they threaten to attack the Loyalists if they do not surrender by nightfall. And then Melisandre, who has been she's just not in a good mood following Stannis' defeat. Like, she's just not sure what to think. She's baffled. And, of course, Jon Snow's death. Goes to sleep in her bedroom. As she undresses, she removes her ruby necklace, which proves to be enchanted as she is revealed to have a physical body many years older than the one that she normally appears on. Appears in. So that's the end of the episode. Okay, at the end, I mean, Melisandre is like 200 years old at the end instead of, 30s, 40s. Interesting episode. I think this was actually a good premiere. It gave us a lot of stuff. Nothing too crazy, but nothing too bad. I'm going to score the episode an 8.8 out of 10. And of course, there's a lot of different characters that were good in this episode. Rewatching this, it actually was a bit touching seeing Brienne and Podrick save Sansa and Theon, and then Brienne pledging her allegiance to Sansa Stark and Sansa accepting, and it was a very touching moment. So I'm going to give the character of the episode to Brienne, and I'm actually starting to like Brienne, which is weird because she's never been one of my favorite characters, but now rewatching the series for I don't even know how many times, 5 or 6 or 7, I lost track. She's going to be the character of the episode. I'm starting to like her. So I'm going to have to update my favorite characters list just to make sure I include the right characters. Of course, every rewatch, things change. So you've heard what I have to say. Now it's your turn. So if you're a fan of Game of Thrones, make sure you smash that like button. If you know anybody that would be interested in any type of review for Game of Thrones or any Game of Thrones related content, please share the video with them. Don't forget to sound off in the comments section about your thoughts on this episode. What would you score the Red Woman? Who would be your character of the episode? And what was your favorite moment of the episode? Obviously, not seeing that old lady naked. That was a little hard to watch. Maybe not for some people, but for me it was a little bit. And then, of course, last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button because I definitely want to grow the channel. Subscribe to the channel, join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. And JDev will return.